Hello everyone, welcome back to Crypto Odyssey. It's Jason here, back at you with another video on technical analysis. Today we're looking at XRP and we're on the monthly chart. And what I have is a very interesting indicator for you. XRP is just sitting very shyly above $1. So we're getting very close now to that psychological level. Obviously, how it moves is dependent on Bitcoin. We have seen some decoupling at times, but for the most part, so long as Bitcoin stays where it is at the moment, XRP is not going to be doing much. It's just going to be following that trend. But in today's video, we're going to be looking at this particular indicator or two indicators. And why is because they highlight specifically the tops and the bottoms of bulls and bear markets. Let me explain what this indicator is for those that are unaware of what it does. So this is a Fibonacci Moving Average Bands. It essentially just takes an MA, a 730 SMA, and it applies Fibonacci multipliers. And that's what gives us these specific points. And you can see that we have the red band that indicates extreme overbought and the purple band, which indicates extremely oversold. And in the middle, we have blue, white, orange, and green, showing just different sections of where we are in terms of how many people are invested or how much money is invested with regards to buyers and sellers. Now, let's start at the very beginning, because you could see that back in 2013, XRP did reach the extremely oversold section, which was about 0.06389, and it came back down to our purple point. That, if we would have bought there, would have been a great buying opportunity, because in fact it did dip below that as well. It did dip a little bit below, but if we check how much that rose afterwards, it was 595%, and it reached the orange band. These bands are like magnets for price, and that's because the Fibonacci sequence is heavily correlated with the markets, because what the markets are reflections of human behavior, and Fibonacci is within human nature. It's within nature itself, and we're not separate from nature. So that's why Fibonacci works so well in the stock market, because it is just a reflection of human psychology. So if we look, we have 3 points that I've marked out here, which show that the purple zones have been great buying opportunities. And the first real, you might say, bull market that a lot of us remember back in 2017, where XRP went from 0.0493 all the way up to, it was 0.37, which was about 7,500%. And it even went so high as $3.2. And, that's a crazy run. That's 65K. We'll likely, very unlikely, highly unlikely we'll ever see something like that again. In fact, probably impossible, but we leave that word out of the situation. Anything is possible in cryptocurrency. So you can see that we had 2 touch points at the extremes, and we also had consolidation between the red, green, and yellow band. This was in the earlier periods of XRP's history. Then price came down. What did it do? It came down to our white line. See, these bands are just a magnet for price action. And you can see that, again, it kind of consolidated here between the orange and white band before making a retracement all the way back down, you guessed it, to our purple band. In fact, just like before, in the previous times, it did dip below. How much did it dip below? Let's have a look. About 32%. So that's not a small number. Now, what did price do after that? Well, if you remember this was during the period XRP had a lawsuit going on, and it may have been stunted in terms of its bull market potential back then. And that's why, perhaps, or that's the theory, why it didn't reach the red band in that bull run. It only reached so far as the green band. Now, could this be setting a precedent moving forward? Might the red band be out of reach for XRP in the future? We'll have to see. But it did go on to do, a pretty sizable run, about 1,000%. So again, if we were to have sold at one of these, at this green band, instead of waiting for the red, it would have been a great selling opportunity. But moving forward to 2022 to 2023, we did reach this purple zone again. And it formed a lovely W bottom, as we can see here. So a W bottom pattern is basically where price forms either an equal low or a higher low, and in some cases it can form a shy lower low, but it shouldn't go too extreme. It shouldn't form like a distinct lower low. But this is what a W pattern or a double bottom pattern looks like. And you have the neckline, which is here. Once it breaks up, finds support, which you can see that it did find support at this region here. Let me make that a little bit clearer for you so you can see what I'm talking about. We'll just get a trend line. You can see this region, which was the breakout zone of that W bottom pattern. Price formed a lovely consolidation above it before going higher. And you can see that it actually worked through the bands, because look at where we first started. We started on the purple band. We broke out of our double bottom, and then we started consolidating above the blue band, and we were just working our way through. And price, during the most recent bull run, it just slammed through those middle bands, and it reached the heights of the green band. It did not go to the red band, and that's repeating what it did in the previous bull run. It reached the same green band. It did not reach extremely oversold at about just shy of $6. Now, what is price action doing now? Well, you can see, just like clockwork, price went from the green band down to the white band. Just like before, price went from the green band to the white band, went to the orange band. What did it do here? Went to the orange band. Then it came back down. In this run, it found support on the blue line. It actually did find support here as well, because you can see this large wick here. It found support for a little bit of time before eventually breaking through the blue band. Now, where are we today? Well, we are approaching that purple zone. Could this be a potential buying zone? Perhaps. We'll have to see moving forward. We'll revisit this chart. But I thought these purple zones, in terms of a long-term opportunity, have proved very fruitful. So we are approaching that zone, and historically we have reached it every single time, and often overshot it as well. This one we overshot it, but not by much, a very little amount. You can see it was about 12%. So if we look here, how far away are we from it at the moment? We're about 5%, so we're really approaching that. If we went down an extra 10%, so put it at 16%, 15%, we'll reach about 0.83, which could well be in the bull mark. So we'll have to see. Now, I do have at the bottom here the MACD. And the reason why it's significant is because there's a little bit of correlation between when these lows come in and when we see a MACD cross. So let's have a look at when these lows came in, as in when did we reach those purple zones. So you can see we reached these purple zones before we got a MACD cross. So here we reached the purple zone, and we didn't get our MACD cross until we were out of it. Once we were out of it, that was our sign that we're going to be starting a bull run. Let's have a look at this one as well. So you can see that we reached our zone, and we are yet to have formed a MACD cross. We're still in the darker red. So you can see that momentum to the downside is waning, and we're starting to push to the upside and forming that bottom. And it wasn't until we got out of that purple zone that we finally got our MACD cross. Where are we today? Well, we haven't got a MACD cross yet, so we are consistent with previous history. And until we reach that purple zone and get out of it, we're very unlikely to get a MACD cross. So there is time here for XRP just to consolidate and go sideways and down. Potentially some bounces here and there, but until we see us touch this purple zone, because that's what we've done in history. I mean, does it have to? I mean, you could say price could do something different. That's not, wild thing to say, but statistically, we've touched that purple zone every time, and we are very close to it. It's about 10%, about 5% or 5% or so, 7%. So that would put us at, in fact, I can just mark it out with a horizontal line, 0.93. So we'd go under $1, under that psychological level. But could that psychological level prove strong support? We do have a wick in this section, if you see here, that we haven't taken out yet. And we do have support from the previous bull run where we consolidated there as well. So we'll have to see what price action does. But in terms of a future opportunity, I think that XRP is towards the end of its bear market now. And alongside this long-term indicator, I think that there's potential for XRP to work its way through these bands. And as XRP starts its next bull market, these bands will be increasing. So right now, I mean, the red band is at $18. The green band's at $9. Previously, it was at $3.4. So I hope you enjoyed the video, guys. If you did, please don't forget to leave a thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.